4, 3, 2, 1, go. Hey guys, Ro16 here, bringing some commentary. This is going to be the second series between Light and RorO. Round of 16, of course, of the Bigfile MSL. I'm getting this out there very late, trying to barely get it out there before the round of 8 starts, but you know, might not manage it, but that's sometimes just the way it goes. So I apologize beforehand that it's happening this way yet again. Feels like I'm always apologizing for this crap, but having a private life, you know, kind of, well, it doesn't suck actually, it's quite awesome. So, anyway, it's going to, of course, between Light and RorO. This on Fighting Spirit, the upper left position in orange. We have RorO playing Zerg at the lower left position in yellow. We have Light playing Terran. Really interested in this one. Now, RorO overall a guy who's kind of become the second ace of We Made Fox. Well, I wouldn't really say maybe second. I would say kind of backup ace, overall backup ace, because their current ace is nowhere to be found, really. They don't really have an ace. They kind of hope that Baby would become their ace, but he's not quite there yet. Mind was their ace, but he's kind of not clutch enough for it anymore. He is still a very good player, but he's not quite with that clutch performances anymore. They can't really bring those. And, you know, they have a kind of... And they kind of split duties all over the place. Pure can sometimes be an ace player. RorO is sometimes an ace player. Shine sometimes an ace player. So pretty much it's a team that splits. They don't have one solid guy who can win a game any day, but they kind of split duties by strategizing. While on the opposite side you have Light, who is kind of one of two guys, the 1-2 punch of C and the Light. Unfortunately, both these teams, of course, knocked out of the Pro League playoffs, and we have the Grand Finals coming up this weekend. So that's, you know, that's what happens there. There is, for those of you that are curious, there is a good possibility, just going to say this, that we are going to have one Rex and Expo build from Light when we have a 12 hedge coming in here from RorO. So very standard play, 4-player on a 4-player map. Sometimes you see Terran players go for something a little bit more risky on large maps, maybe go for 14cc, but Light, I think, is a guy who tends to want to play a little bit more safe and also wants to get those few Marines out there just a little bit quicker, just to put on a little bit of pressure as soon as the opportunity presents itself. He's going to take a long time to scout the map. Going to take the entire circle around, unfortunately for him, to scout the entire position. But yeah, as I said, the Grand Finals, there is a possibility Nuke and I will cast it. Most likely on Vile Attack, but it is at the moment unconfirmed. But let's just hope that that will indeed be the case, and we can all be happy. But let's focus on this one. Light, of course, very superior on this matchup, I would say. TVZ Specialist has always been, and kind of RorO's worst matchup, unfortunately. But still, I wouldn't count him out. He has brought clutch wins in the past where people didn't really expect him, and he also kind of brought clutch losses in the past where people kind of hoped he wouldn't. But, you know, he's one of those guys. He can bring the surprising win every once in a while. And he's not really a Star League winner type of player, not really at that level, but still a very good, solid player overall that has brought some surprising victories, and he has a name that's funny to pronounce. RorO. Light has a full scout in there. I mean, all of his SCVs finally got that in there. Or actually, doesn't have a full scout now that I think about it. It has to get those Marines out there to hopefully focus that drone away. And just his 2 early Marines. This is risky if your opponent's going for heavy Zerg to start this off, but he needs to get that SCV up that ramp. He needs to get a scout in there. But apparently he's sending out these SCVs to the right side of the map. I'm not really sure exactly what he's doing. He's sending them just around the middle, maybe scatting around, hoping, maybe there's nothing too funky going on. But I think he's going to run with him home. SCV's still not managing to get up that ramp. Getting caught by Zerglings a little bit, but there are a few Zerglings out there. And unfortunately for Light, I thought he would be able to get that scout with a long circle around. A good, nice blockade with the drone there by RorO to deny Light, so he's going to have to wait in his academy to get up. There is a Zergling on the ramp. A CV sometimes can get through that, but not half damage with the Zergling running right out behind its heels. Second barracks, supply depot at the natural coming up. Might see a bunker there as well. Academy is on the way, so Light's going to want to rush to comset stations as soon as he can, so he can get, you know, proper scout. He can pretty much guess what's coming at him. It is going to be an Evo chamber, or he would, at general location, be able to guess what's coming at him. You know, 2 base 3 hedge Muta maybe, but that was going to looks going to be 3 hedge Lurker. It does look like would set himself up to be creep colony at the back, at the front rather. What am I talking about? At the front, natural expansion. There are a lot of Marines milling around, so this is a danger. It looks like they might be Overlord hunting, but this is a significant danger when you go around and milling all these Marines. Because, of course, if they get caught by Zerglings, they can get surrounded pretty quickly. 4 Marines are a pretty good position, though. but still Light doesn't have the. Oh, is gonna catch the Overlord. That's gonna be a big loss for RorO. Actually, that one Overlord. Oh, is he actually gonna be able to get it? Oh, yes, he does get it. You usually don't get that one Overlord. You get the Scout Overlord in your own base sometimes, you know, but often enough. But Zerg players are smart enough these days that they often can manage to prevent that. Spire is going to come up, so the Evo Chamber does look like he's just going to do a transition build. Thought he might go for an early Hydra Den, but it wasn't there before the lair. So the Evo Chamber is just going to be a transition for him. Might go for weapons, for quick weapons upgrades for his Zerglings to try go for Zergling and Muta attack. I've seen that used early on effectively. He does have a couple additional creep colonies coming up in there at the natural expansion to transform into sunken colonies. There are medics out there at this point, so RorO wants to be careful. White also has a fire bat that is just apparently keeping it home. I think he might be moving it out now. Big help if it isn't indeed going to be weapons upgrades for those Zerglings. You want to snuff them out before they really become a problem. eBay almost up right now, so we're going to be seeing some turrets, additional barracks being put down. So Light just kind of working on his groove. He is 1-0 ahead, so he can kind of play comfortably. He's not really a guy who takes risks. You don't really often see him take too many risks, except occasionally he does go for cheese, which has both failed and won him in the past, working on factories. So yeah, just going to be 3 barracks, working on his stack, going to get his starport science facility, get his science fields out there, just continue milling this, and probably going to try to break the front with the siege tanks as he does so. And Windmill Spar almost up there. These Marines are not really going to be able to break the front here. They have to be a little bit suicidal and crazy to try to break for this. He is stimming up kind of there, all over the place, kind of running around. Going to go 1 Marine there to the north to spot the Trollcock position, see if there's an expansion there. But it does look like RorO's actually might be thinking of expanding at the upper right-hand position. So it's really going to come down to how well Light manages to defend his musical attack. I think he has more than enough time to put down his turrets, but the micro from RorO is going to come into play. There are going to be a lot of turrets in there, so he might want to try to go for a quick transition, maybe try to break at the front with some Zerglings if he has some to spare. Hope to maybe go in there, snipe a turret, then go in with his Mutalisks, because I think Mutalisks also not going to be enough. SV also scouting out there for Light. I think there was an SV there at the upper hand position, scouting everything out. So still only RorO's still only on 2 bases. Might want to expand as he goes for this attack. At the very least, if not manage to do too much, there's a lot of turrets in there. At the very least, try to hold those medic marines off, try to do some damage there. Turrets just not starting to attack these middles, getting a few SCV hits, a few hits on those SCVs and backing off before the marines come in and shoot them like crazy. Meanwhile, is finding the opportunity to expand the upper right hand position. Firebat just milling around the map like, ooh, where is their next bow? I can deny. More turrets, nice position there for Light, actually surrounding his entire outer area of his main by turrets just so the Mutalisk can't even get close enough. And he's actually also putting turrets in close, so he's actually using a significant amount of minerals just for these anti-mutant defenses. So as a Firebat milling out, might spot that hatchery out at the upper right position. We're going to see whether it actually manages to force a denial. There are Zerglings getting close to that. Actually going to go out there, snuff that Hydra down on the way, or already up rather, so there is going to be a denial. Firebat not even going to bother with this. Like, yeah, hatchery almost up. Nope, not going to be able to do much against that. Zerglings out there, Mutalisks. RorO sees he can't really do too much. A little bit risky to try to go inside the main, so at least try to hold off those medic marines. Still one group inside the main, one group kind of milling around outside. Try to do damage that it has those Zerglings out there. Wants to kind of run around and try to put up additional bases, and they're really focusing on that girl there. Maybe she's famous or something. There, I think, yeah, Japan, Korea, those kind of countries, they're really a lot about idols. You know, like, you know, they're little characters who are very pretty. They're people who are very pretty and famous for something. Mutalisks again. I think one Mutalisk, yeah, 1 or 2 even Mutalisks went down. Medic Marines catching them in a bad position. Factory floating above the Natural Expo. Wondering whether that's just to kind of mess out the aiming for the Mutalisks more than anything else. And we do see the Starport Tech just all the way up there for Light, working on it. Lurkers, meanwhile, coming up for RorO. Upper end position be blockaded by Lurker eggs. That's very smart. Weapons won't upgrade. Meanwhile, now for Light, and it does look like he's going to go towards the upper end position. Has another group of Marines running front and behind. RorO has to try to utilize this Mutalisk, but very slow. Light down, if nothing else. Has some Zerglings out there. Has Lurkers on the way, and once they're all on the way, he might be able to stop this attack. But we'll try to utilize his Mutalisk to slow Light down as much as possible. Every few seconds count at this point. Try to go for delay. Lurkers, meanwhile, finally now ready. Gonna go out there on the bridge. Zerglings from the back as well. He's gonna go for an attack. Zerglings gonna try to get right. Oh, get thrown back, shot back with this. Not quite managed to do much there. But Marines, all coming in close, attacking Overlords. So now Lurkers and Zerglings coming in from the back. Lurkers on the ramp. They're going to attack the first thing they see. Unfortunately, RorO could have maybe held those. And Berries catch some Marines, although I believe Light would have expected that. Still going to go for attack. What do you see what RorO actually managed to get this? Get some Zerglings. Gets a nice attack in here with Mudos in there as well. But unfortunately, Light has more than enough troops to fight his back. Lost a few of his Marines, so his group might not be quite as strong. But still, if he goes for this, he might be able to break. I think, though, he might want to wait on support. Doesn't look like he's going to go for tanks at all. Going to go for straight up SK Terran. With that factory floating in there, so he's just going to go for science vessels and mass up. Usually you see maybe 4 barracks producing at this point, 3-4 barracks producing while having science vessels and tanks being worked on like crazy. But right now we see 5 barracks producing Marines and medics at a massive rate, and